was a Saudi prince in Miami.
Find him to be credible, but they do.
He talked the part, he dressed the part, he drove the part.
The internet is a vast landscape, filled with connections and opportunities. But how well do you really know the people you meet online? Imagine encountering a charming, sophisticated individual, claiming to be Saudi royalty. They shower you with compliments, promise investment opportunities, and live a life of outrageous luxury. But is everything as it seems? Today, we investigate the incredible story of Anthony Gignac, a man who spun a web of elaborate lies so convincing, it would blur the lines between fantasy and reality. Join us as we delve into Gignac's life as a fake prince, explore the audacious cons he pulled off, and uncover the high society sting that brought his house of cards crashing down. Was he a charismatic royal or a cunning con artist? Buckle up, because this true crime tale is stranger than fiction. So, get ready to question everything you thought you knew about wealth, status, and the lengths people will go to for a life of extravagant deceit. Anthony Gignac's early life was complex and challenging, hinting at the persona that would later bring him notoriety. Born in Colombia, he and his younger brother faced the difficulties of being orphaned at a young age. In 1977, a glimmer of hope arrived when a middle-class couple from Michigan adopted the 6-year-old Anthony and his brother. This new life offered stability and opportunity, but even within this environment, the seeds of Gignac's fascination with wealth and royalty began to sprout. By the age of 12, a young Anthony displayed a surprising audacity. It is rumored that he once convinced a salesman at a Mercedes dealership to let him test drive a car by claiming to be the son of a Saudi prince. This audacious act, at such a young age, foreshadowed the elaborate web of lies and impersonations he would weave as an adult. Anthony Gignac's teenage years were marked by a budding talent for deception and a growing obsession with the trappings of wealth and royalty. This fascination wasn't merely passive admiration, it translated into action. Gignac began experimenting with impersonation, using a carefully crafted persona to secure small advantages and a taste of the luxurious lifestyle he craved. His initial forays were subtle, a kind of social engineering on a small scale. He might casually drop hints about being Saudi royalty in conversations, or use the facade to impress classmates or acquaintances. This could translate into minor privileges, like convincing a restaurant to seat him and his friends without a reservation, or smooth-talking his way into exclusive events by claiming he was a visiting dignitary. Gignac was suspected of using stolen credit cards or other forms of deception to finance these early impersonations. He might have posed as a wealthy foreign exchange student to score a free hotel stay, or use his fake persona to snag a free upgrade on public transportation. These small victories fueled his confidence and honed his impersonation skills, paving the way for the more elaborate cons he'd attempt as an adult. Gignac's transformation into Prince Khalid wasn't a sudden jump. It was a meticulously constructed act, fueled by his growing confidence and a hunger for a luxurious lifestyle. He likely started by researching Saudi royalty, gleaning details about names, titles, and cultural nuances. He then adopted the alias Prince Khalid bin Al Saud, a believable-sounding name that tapped into the prestige of the real Saudi royal family. To bolster his persona, Gignac likely used forged documents to obtain credit cards under his fake name. These cards then became his tools for creating a facade of wealth. He'd stay at expensive hotels, rack up limousine bills, and frequent upscale establishments, all while projecting an air of royal entitlement. He might have even invested in props like expensive clothing, jewelry, or even a rented luxury car to further solidify his fake identity. Gignac's cons relied on audacity, forged documents, and a curated display of wealth to convince his targets of his fabricated royal status. Con Anthony Gignac's meticulously crafted persona as Prince Khalid wasn't just about securing material comforts. It was a gateway to a world of prestige and social status. Once he'd established his fake royal identity, Gignac set his sights on high society. He likely targeted social events, charity galas, or gatherings frequented by wealthy individuals. His charm and confidence, coupled with the allure of his fabricated royal status, would have smoothed his entry into these exclusive circles. Gignac likely spun elaborate tales about his life in Saudi Arabia, dropping hints about his supposed wealth and influence. His extravagant spending habits, fueled by his fraudulent credit cards, would have bolstered his claims. Over time, he may have even woven himself into social circles, gaining the trust and admiration of some high society figures. This social acceptance would have further fueled his elaborate deception. Gignac's fraudulent schemes transcended flashy living and morphed into elaborate cons designed to fleece wealthy investors. He craved not just the illusion of wealth, but the real power it afforded. Posing as Prince Khalid, he crafted cunning narratives to manipulate his targets. One tactic involved creating fictitious business ventures. He might establish shell companies with seemingly lucrative purposes, like a high-end pharmaceutical company in Ireland, or a lucrative jet fuel trading platform in the Middle East. Using impressive-sounding names, fabricated documents, and even forged endorsements, he'd present these ventures as exclusive investment opportunities tied to his supposed royal connections. Gignac's charm and confidence, honed from years of impersonation, would have been a powerful tool. He likely promised high returns on investments, leveraging his fabricated royal status to pressure investors into believing these were exclusive deals not to be missed. These schemes were elaborate lies, but Gignac's meticulously constructed persona, coupled with his unwavering confidence, proved effective in separating some unsuspecting investors from their hard-earned cash. He wasn't above using strong-arm tactics either, potentially pressuring investors by hinting at potential consequences for rejecting such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity offered by a Saudi prince. Some investors fell prey to his web of deceit, funding his extravagant lifestyle and elaborate charade. The day-to-day life of Anthony Gignac, masquerading as Prince Khalid, revolved around maintaining his opulent facade. Funded by his fraudulent schemes, he indulged in a lavish lifestyle characterized by extravagance. Expensive tastes became a hallmark. He frequented luxury stores, acquiring designer clothing, jewelry, and other high-end goods. His collection of luxury cars would likely have impressed even discerning petrol heads. He may have even dabbled in real estate, acquiring luxury apartments or mansions to further solidify his image of a wealthy royal. But Gignac's life wasn't all champagne wishes and caviar dreams. The constant need to maintain his fabricated persona, coupled with the fear of exposure, must have been a constant source of stress. He likely lived a transient lifestyle, moving from place to place to avoid scrutiny. His days were likely filled with calculated actions and carefully crafted stories, all designed to protect his elaborate web of lies. Anthony Gignac's life as Prince Khalid had many close calls. His elaborate web of lies and impersonations teetered on the edge of collapse on several occasions. Instances of near exposure became a recurring theme in his life of deception. One documented instance involved him not returning a luxury car rental. Gignac, accustomed to a life of luxury, rented a high-end car. When the time came to return it, however, the exorbitant bill likely raised eyebrows at the rental agency. Gignac, ever resourceful, used his charm and possibly fabricated stories about impending wire transfers to stall for time. Luckily for him, his tactics seemed to work, and he managed to escape the situation without his deception being uncovered. These close calls highlight Gignac's audacity and his ability to think on his feet. He seemed to possess an uncanny knack for smooth-talking his way out of tricky situations. However, it's important to remember that these were isolated incidents, and not every near miss ended in his favor. The constant pressure of maintaining his facade must have been immense, and it would only be a matter of time before his luck ran out. Anthony Gignac's elaborate charade finally began to unravel when he set his sights on a high-stakes investment opportunity, the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami. Posing as Prince Khalid, Gignac approached the hotel's ownership group, led by billionaire Jeffrey Soffer. He expressed interest in investing a staggering $440 million, a figure that naturally piqued Soffer's interest. Gignac's usual tactics seemed to work initially. Soffer, impressed by the supposed prince's wealth and connections, showered him with gifts and even offered rides on his private jet. However, a seemingly minor detail exposed a major inconsistency in Gignac's story. During a business dinner, Soffer observed Gignac ordering pork, a clear violation of Islamic dietary restrictions, which Gignac claimed to follow. This raised a red flag for Soffer, who knew that Gignac had claimed to be a devout Muslim. Soffer's suspicions grew, and he discreetly hired a private investigator to verify Gignac's identity. The investigation quickly exposed Gignac's fabricated persona, leading to his arrest and ultimate downfall. The seemingly trivial detail of a pork dish became the undoing of a meticulously crafted lie, highlighting the precarious nature of Gignac's elaborate deception. Gignac's audacious con unraveled not just through Soffer's dinner table observation, but through a web of growing suspicion. Soffer's skepticism, sparked by the pork incident, was just one thread. Gignac's business dealings likely raised eyebrows with potential partners as well. These partners, unsure of his legitimacy, did quietly initiate background checks or express concerns to authorities. This would have put law enforcement on alert, prompting them to investigate Gignac's activities. Soffer's private investigation, combined with any concerns raised by skeptical business partners, provided crucial leads for law enforcement. With mounting evidence against him, authorities were able to build a strong case that exposed the house of cards Gignac had carefully constructed. The investigation that led to Gignac's arrest was a collaborative effort, fueled by Soffer's initial suspicion, the vigilance of potential business partners, and the thoroughness of law enforcement agencies. Gignac's arrest marked a sharp turn from his life of luxury to a harsh legal reality. Following his apprehension, federal prosecutors built a strong case against him. The trial, a key moment in exposing the elaborate web of lies Gignac had spun, likely featured key pieces of evidence and testimonies that laid bare his deceptions. Incriminating documents, possibly forged financial statements or fake investment contracts used to lure investors, would have been presented as evidence. Testimonies from defrauded investors, detailing their experiences with Prince Khalid and the sums of money they lost, played a crucial role in establishing the extent of the fraud. Perhaps even Soffer himself, the potential investor who first noticed the inconsistency in Gignac's story, might have been called upon to recount his initial interactions and the red flags that ultimately led him to expose the impostor. Gignac's defense strategy is unclear, but it likely revolved around downplaying the severity of his actions or attempting to cast doubt on the evidence. The outcome of the trial, however, seemed preordained. The weight of evidence against him, coupled with the testimonies from his victims, likely painted a clear picture of his fraudulent schemes. Gignac was ultimately found guilty and sentenced to prison, marking a final end to his life as Prince Khalid. Details about Anthony Gignac's life after his conviction are scarce. It's unknown if he has expressed public remorse or offered insights into his motivations. However, some psychological factors might shed light on his actions. Gignac's childhood, marked by adoption and instability, could have contributed to a yearning for acceptance and a desire to reinvent himself. The elaborate persona of Prince Khalid might have offered a chance to escape his past and experience a life of luxury and power he never had. The psychological concept of imposter syndrome could also be a factor. Gignac might have internally struggled with feelings of inadequacy, using the facade to compensate for a perceived lack of self-worth. Ultimately, understanding Gignac's motivations would likely require a deep psychological exploration. However, his story serves as a cautionary tale about the allure of deception and the high stakes involved in trying to maintain a fabricated life. Anthony Gignac's transformation into Prince Khalid wasn't merely a case of someone enjoying a harmless masquerade. Psychologists suggest a complex interplay of factors likely fueled his elaborate deception. One potential root cause lies in Gignac's early life. Adoption can leave a lasting mark, and Gignac's experience of being uprooted from his birth country at a young age could have contributed to a sense of instability and a yearning for a sense of belonging. The extravagant persona of Prince Khalid might have offered a chance to rewrite his narrative, to create a past steeped in wealth and privilege, a stark contrast to his own uncertain beginnings. Beyond belonging, Gignac's actions could be linked to imposter syndrome, a psychological pattern where individuals doubt their accomplishments and fear being exposed as a fraud. Despite the outward confidence he projected, Gignac might have harbored deep-seated feelings of inadequacy. The fabricated identity of a prince, complete with wealth and prestige, could have served as a shield, a way to compensate for a perceived inner lack. Finally, there's the undeniable allure of wealth and power. Gignac's meticulously crafted persona wasn't just about luxury goods and fancy cars. It was a gateway to a world of influence and privilege. The life of Prince Khalid offered a distorted sense of control, a chance to command respect and wield power in a way his real life likely never did. Gignac's story serves as a cautionary tale, but it also compels us to consider the deeper motivations that can lead someone down a path of deception. It highlights our human desire for belonging, our fascination with status, and the complex ways we strive to rewrite our narratives, even if it means constructing elaborate lies. The consequences of Anthony Gignac's elaborate deception extended far beyond his own downfall. His actions left a trail of financial ruin and emotional distress for his victims. Investors who entrusted him with their hard-earned money faced significant financial losses, shattering their sense of security and potentially jeopardizing their financial futures. Gignac's case also highlights the importance of trust and verification in financial dealings. His ability to manipulate and exploit investors underscores the vulnerabilities within the system. It serves as a reminder for investors to conduct thorough due diligence before entrusting their money to someone, regardless of how convincing or superficially credible they may appear. On a broader scale, Gignac's story chips away at the foundation of trust essential for healthy financial markets. When such elaborate frauds are successful, it breeds suspicion and discourages genuine investment. Law enforcement and regulatory bodies are forced to constantly adapt and improve their methods to identify and prevent similar scams in the future. Anthony Gignac's story transcends the intrigue of a master con artist. It offers valuable lessons about deception, vulnerability, and the importance of trust. For those who dream of overnight success, Gignac's tale serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of chasing illusions. His elaborate web of lies crumbled under scrutiny, highlighting the importance of due diligence, not just for investors, but for anyone considering a seemingly too good to be true proposition. Gignac's exploits also shed light on the surprising vulnerability of the wealthy. Despite their resources, they can be susceptible to sophisticated social engineering tactics. This emphasizes the need for a healthy dose of skepticism, even when dealing with seemingly well-credentialed individuals. If you enjoyed learning about Anthony Gignac's wild story, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating true crime content. And let us know in the comments below, what surprised you the most about Gignac's life as a fake prince?